So we'll move on to one that I actually think this is going to get, by the way, before I say these are going to get the same reaction as the Jeremy Grant things, but I think this is on a way different level. Let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. And before we get to what we'll take back from the Cleveland Cavaliers, I just like to say that this seems like a pretty good fit for Ben Simmons, assuming that you trade one of your guards to get up there, and you trade Kevin Love, who's basically a 2-year contract for them, for a rebuilding team that doesn't make a ton of sense. I think that could be a really good stylistic fit for Ben Simmons with a guard who can shoot, and then Jared Allen. I think that could be a good spot for him, and I think they'd have interest in him as a rebuilding team. But I will say Collin Sexton and Kevin Love for Ben Simmons. And then also, I think I think these should just go in tandem because it's really a conversation. Do you like Collin Sexton or Darius Garland more? I have a buddy who's a diehard Cavs fan, and he thinks that they value Garland higher, and he would rather keep Garland, but he is like dying to make a Sexton Love for Ben trade. He would probably even throw in some picks. Don't know if you guys have a preference between Sexton or Garland.
Chelsea, you want to go first?
Sure. I feel like Sexton and Garland are very similar players. Personally, out of the two, I think it might sound crazy, but I think I would like Garland a little bit more just because I personally like his game a little better. He just seems to be able to make shots from anywhere on the court, especially because he trains a lot with Tyrese Maxey in the offseason this year with Chris Johnson. So I saw a lot of videos of him training, and he looked pretty good. But I don't think, like this comment right here from MemeStar, he said, no, Sexton is awful on defense and can't pass. I don't know about the can't pass, but I mean, neither of them are good defenders. But in my opinion, if you're looking to trade Ben Simmons, you're not exactly looking for that player to be a Ben Simmons level defender or anywhere even close to it. You're looking for a guy who can facilitate and can score. And that's just what I think. But what are your thoughts, Dabs?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, I'm going to admit I have not watched a lot of Cleveland Cavaliers games this season. But you look at the stats, you look at Collin Sexton, 64th percentile in the pick and roll, 40th percentile in ISO scoring, 68th percentile in transition, 40% from three in the catch and shoot. Garland seems to be much better off ball. Definitely, 43.2% in the catch and shoot. This is a definitely no for me, even though I know these two guys, had their kind of moments in the sun, killing the Sixers, I believe, early this season. But none of these two scream, replacements for me. We already have that in Tyrese Maxey. I'd rather just see what we got in Maxey in terms of that lightning quick guard that can penetrate, create, dish, and maybe, hit a pull-up J.
Yeah, the only difference between Maxey and, I think there's a lot of differences between Maxey and those two. I think Maxey's a better defender, first of all, but second of all, Maxey's not as good at perimeter scoring, at least from what we've seen in comparison to them. But I agree with you in the sense where I personally would not make that move. I just don't think it's – and I will say as well, I think Sixers fans tend to look at how a team, a certain player or a certain team plays against the Sixers instead of looking at their overall year and overall seasons. So again, let's break it down to this. Darius Garland and Collin Sexton are both undersized point guards, pretty much, that both play the shooting guard and the point guard positions for their team. We just saw Trae Young cook Ben Simmons, and I'm not comparing those two to Trae Young. I'm only comparing them by size, and the Sixers are known for not doing well against smaller guards because we don't have smaller guards to defend them. So I just want to point that out there, that just because a small guard cooks the Sixers doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to play extremely well for the Sixers. Just like Al Horford, just because he played well against us doesn't mean he's going to play well for us.
This, Shifty,
yeah.
It's not going to happen, but yeah.
We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there for sure. But I just want to say that I think Darius Garland is going to get undersold in this. I'm a Garland over Sexton guy as well. 6 assists last year, and that's with a guy in Collin Sexton who dominates usage rate when he's in the game. And he also shot 39.5% from three while shooting 45% from the field goal on a bad team while still taking 15 attempts per game. I'm considering both of these for sure. Hopefully there's something better that comes along, but this wouldn't be some like meltdown if they do this trade. Like I think we would still be really competitive next year, and who knows? These players are both so young and both so able to take a leap. You mentioned Trae Young in terms of we got cooked by Trae Young. Trae Young and Devin Booker both come to mind to me. I'm not saying that these guys can be quite as good as Trae Young or Devin Booker, but those are guys who were on bad teams putting up numbers that people had doubts about being a good stats, bad team player. And I could really see, especially Darius Garland more than Sexton, I could really see Darius Garland going to another place and taking a leap with how efficient he is at shooting the ball from three. And I don't really think he's much of a defensive liability like Sexton is. So I'm just saying that this would definitely be one that I would consider. And then another part of this would be, if we're saying we prefer Garland, then Garland, Love, and Larry Nance for Ben and George Hill. That would just help it out a little bit more. It would make it a little bit better of a trade for us. But we kind of talked out the Cleveland Cavaliers and that trade pretty well.